Hey everyone, Jason here, and today we have a post from user The Angry Arcanist. She was told to stop complaining about her neighbors, and that's exactly what she did. This one's a little bit of a long one, so stick around. After Andrew's done with the reading, I definitely have some color commentary for this one. 'Cause, damn. Well, take it away, Andrew.
Stop complaining about your neighbors. Okay. Sure. Now, that story is very recent, and the told you so effect is never as sweet as this was. I have moved in an apartment with a roommate last summer. When we first came in, the biggest part of the sale was the fact that the apartment was freshly renovated and soundproof. This one is important, and you'll see why. So when we got in, my roommate immediately fell in love with it, and I was too. When we moved in, we were very careful not to bother anyone, as we wanted to quickly have a good relationship with our neighbors. Oh, did you see the new neighbors? They only moved during the day, they don't make sound during the night. What nice people, kind of deal, and we can safely say it worked. What we did not know, however, is that we were only 3 renters when we first came in, us on the floor, another family upstairs on the opposite side, and another one on the 3rd floor, with one empty apartment between us. Turns out the soundproof statement was accurate, but only in regards to the inside to outside situation. When our upstairs neighbors moved in, it was a goddamn nightmare. Sound from 5 a.m. to past midnight, 5 days in a row, dropping stuff, speaking loudly, yelling or walking in their apartment with shoes on. Out of frustration on the 5th day, I walk upstairs and meet my neighbor at midnight. I ask them to cease their activities for the night. I have work in the morning, and I cannot be kept up all night. I understand they were freshly moved in, and they might have had a tight schedule, but midnight was too late to be moving stuff. He didn't reply and closed the door on me. I go downstairs and the sound starts over again. I notify my landlord and he tells me he'll handle it, and apologized for the situation, explaining to me my neighbor was just moving, and that he probably didn't understand what I was saying because of language barrier. The neighbors were extremely loud. I know a lot of Karen will use that as an excuse to shower their neighbors with hate, but when I say loud, I mean it. There was no stop to their loud noises. It seemed like they couldn't be bothered to hold something without dropping it, or jumping up and down on the floor, or purposefully banging the bed frame against the wall when having sex. I recorded the event and even install microphones in my home, jacked to my computer, activating and recording every time there is strong vibration in the house. Over 98 events on Monday, February 14th. I was livid. I sent that to the landlord and explained this cannot continue. First, the apartment was poorly soundproofed, which meant we were hearing every damn sound at all time. Second, we had notified the neighbors about the situation, and they have ignored it. I have notified the landlord to awaken them to our situation. I report the issues several times, and even advise my landlord that there were very heavy sounding thuds coming from upstairs, which worried me. He answered with "Stop complaining about your neighbors already. I have other things to do." I have answered. Understood, sir. Please be advised this will be my last communication and action to help you in that regard. You know when I said I had loud bangs. Turns out our upstairs neighbor was doing bench press lifting in his living room, and the heavy thuds I kept hearing was him dropping his weights on the ground. I had warned my roommate about removing anything she didn't want broken from the living room, and lo and behold, 4 days later, the first crack appeared. Then another. The floor was giving up. I moved the couch out of the way, and moved the TV and consoles into the bedroom. Fast forward to 3 days ago. After another series of loud bangs, I had a loud crack, followed by a "oh fuck," followed by very loud noises. I went to the living room to see my neighbor on the ground, with several actually gruesome injuries due to the fact he just went through the floor and brought his bench and weight rack with him. I called an ambulance and the police. The police asked me if I reported the issue with my landlord, which I could confirm, due to my communications being made via email. I sent everything, and I am now, of course, filing to break my lease due to uninhabitable dwelling. The landlord came in yesterday and just proceeded to explode. Told me I should have made him aware that my neighbor was doing dangerous things, to which I answered I had notified him about the very loud sounds and he never investigated, and that he also ordered me to stop complaining about my neighbors. It was not my responsibility to go out of my way to protect his assets if he is unwilling to cooperate with me. My neighbor's roommate and I are now residing in a hotel until we can find a new place to live. We are now also looking towards adding a bit more salt to the injury by maybe filing for criminal negligence against both our landlord and the neighbor, the first because the apartment was apparently having some flaws and the latter for endangering us. Had I not caught up on what caused the sound earlier, me or, God forbid, my roommate could have been under that. Anyway, it was a fun week. And I do enjoy the accommodations of my hotel. Never went to a 4-star spa-included hotel before. Turns out the chocolate on the pillow is a lie, and I am very disappointed about that. TLDR, my neighbor was a noisy bastard that went through the floor with his weightlifting equipment, and my landlord ignored me when I complained about the noise. Edit. As I have advised to a few commentators, I followed up with my roommate, and she did not take pictures of the event. She got a bit mad. I asked considering what just happened and questioned my priorities. I then explained that our Reddit story got a lot of attention, and some people in the comments requested some visual proof. I will spare you her answer. I will just add that it's okay not to believe the story based on my word alone. If people actually didn't question it, I would be worried. When I posted this story, my only intent was to share my experience, and I thought, malicious compliance, neat. If there was a horrible landlord bad neighbor Reddit I would have found prior to submitting this story, probably would have went there instead. I will also add that I am not an expert or an engineer. How and why something like weights and the like would cause part of the floor to collapse, I cannot say. Was there a structural damage prior? Was there water damage that never was addressed, just covered up? Was the structure just not as sound as I believed it was when I got in? I cannot say. I understand some of you might have worked in construction and never have experienced such an event, or have actual reasons to suspect a lie due to personal and professional experience. Once again, you can and should question anything on the internet. I just hope you also apply that kind of skepticism, and I mean wanting proof or the opinion of an actual expert prior to making a decision, to more than just Reddit posts. For those who made us laugh and those who have spoken to us, who have been encouraging and constructive, people who actually gave us advice, I thank you very much. It was very nice of everyone, and I wish you the best. Update. My brother has agreed to take the case and look at the options. We are not feeling very vindictive, and our insurance are going to cover most of the costs, so we might file for negligence. I'm not a lawyer myself, I don't know the terms in English, but basically, the landlord should have had his building inspected before renting, which was apparently not done. Landlord has apparently calmed down after the events and has apologized for everything. He has scheduled a visit from an inspector to check the integrity of the apartment and the cause of the damage that would have allowed a human and exercise equipment to go through the floor and ceiling. In exchange for not pressing charges, he has agreed to reimburse all the money we have invested into the rent, our stay at the hotel, and a little extra as an apology, and the guarantee to either repair the apartment and soundproof it properly or, if it is not an option to go back, he will relocate us onto another of his building, which are a lot better than what we had. Reduce our rent quite significantly for as long as we stay, with papers to back his offer up, and a full year of free rent. This is actually quite generous in the current rent market. I'm leaving the final say to roommate. On my end, I was not injured, she was not, and this could have been just a freak accident. Yes, the landlord is a bit of an ass, but let's be honest, we all had worse, landlord-wise. Plus, even if we take him up on his offers, the upstairs neighbor might be looking for some severe reparation, he did get injured, after all. But we would be happy to hear about your opinion, what would you say? Take this further or just take the refund, plus the full year, rent-free year, and then low rent for the years to come?
Alright, thank you, Andrew. There is so much to unpack there. Let's start with the soundproof. Listen, if you've never lived in an apartment before, if anyone tells you that the apartment is soundproof, they're probably lying just to get you to move in because they need someone in there. But I have never lived in an apartment where I couldn't hear my upstairs neighbors. Just period. End of story. Soundproof apartments, at least on my budget, don't exist. Next is the 98 events on a Monday. What the hell is that? The only time you expect 98 events on a Monday is if you're talking about tremors in California. And then from there, OP goes on to tell us about how she talked to the landlord didn't want to listen, leave your neighbors alone, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this all falls on the head of the landlord, and whoever the actual property owner is, if it's not the landlord himself. Because regardless of what the comments say, if the building was put together with subpar materials, or was damaged, then yes, it is fully feasible that that much weight would cause someone to fall through the floor, and the ceiling's just made of drywall anyway. You could put your hand through that with no problems. However, I am glad to hear that her brother's willing to take the case and help her out with that, but unfortunately, I don't think she's going to get a better deal than all the amenities and reimbursements and free rent that the landlord has offered her to compensate for it. But, on the other hand, I don't know if I'd want to move into another one of his properties. I really wouldn't. Couldn't trust the first one. How can we trust the next one?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, upvote, thumbs up, retweet, eat meat, and have a great day.